Mr. Chairman, I appreciate it. And this question is for the panel. As we go forward with any new regulatory scheme, we need to balance the needs between consistency, accuracy, and innovation. And disease areas such as cancer, genetic testing is evolving rapidly. I'm sure you agree with that. Many major institutions today have developed their own gene panels that help diagnose or identify potential treatments for cancer patients. For example, in Tampa, we have the Moffitt Cancer Center, the only NCI-designated comprehensive cancer center in Florida. They have developed the TrueSight tumor gene set, which is used to identify lung and colon cancers that will benefit from targeted therapies. An advantage of the lab-developed tests is the ability to rapidly innovate current tests rather than the slower and expensive process of resubmitting to FDA for any changes. Centers such as Moffitt have the ability to innovate and rapidly improve their lab tests as fast as science evolves. Question, how can we resolve issues regarding consistency and accuracy and not stifle innovation in these labs and important healthcare institutions?
So one issue for consistency, certainly we were recommending not to have two duplicative systems out there, one under FDA, one down to CMS, or we will have inconsistency. But then we have found that to assure consistency, we work with the community on trying to develop standards or guidance so that as we learn and the science evolves, we can have more of a common playing field of what performance should look like for certain kinds of tests. And that can help ensure consistency in terms of approach.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I agree with Dr. Sheeran, and I think, from the CMS perspective, we think our strength is in that post-market review, laboratory by laboratory, on the qualifications, equipment, and personnel.
Thank you. Anyone else want to jump in? Okay. We have Dr. Conway, since both the volume and complexity of lab-developed tests on the market today have drastically increased in recent years, why hasn't CMS asked for these new authorities?
So in terms of authorities, we think FDA has a critical role in pre-market review of clinical validity. We think CMS's role through CLIA really is and should be focused on laboratory by laboratory assessment, survey and certification, and oversight of accrediting organizations, ensuring that the protocols, the equipment, and the standards are in place in individual laboratories in a post-market manner.
Dr. Conway, does CMS require independent review of the clinical claims being made about the tests?
So we, and Dr. Sheeran can certainly comment for FDA, on the CMS perspective, we do a basic assessment of analytical validity, so the analyte is the actual analyte in the test. We do not do assessments of clinical validity, meaning the test actually identifies the condition, the absence or presence of the condition it is supposed to identify. In our coverage process, we have occasionally looked at laboratory development tests for a reasonable and necessary standard. We will look at the effect of the test on patients, but that's a very small number of LDTs we've looked at through that process.
Oh, thank you very much, and I yield back, Mr. Chairman.